I never had to call the police before, and it didn't feel real when I said, I think my brother is about to seriously hurt someone. I'm a recent college graduate and completely broke. I was struggling to find somewhere affordable to stay that was close to my new job, and my older brother, Chris, offered to let me stay in his basement. The first couple of weeks were good. My brother has always been quiet and socially awkward, so it was normal for us to get home and go to our separate rooms. On this particular night, though, he texted me to say that he'd be working late, and to go ahead and lock the front door before I went to bed. I don't think anything of it until I go to open my old laptop and discover that it has given up on life. I struggled for about 45 minutes, but couldn't get it to work, so finally I sneaked upstairs and headed to Chris's office. Chris was extremely protective of his things, but if I didn't finish a spreadsheet for work, I knew I would be in serious trouble. So I turn on Chris's desktop, and I'm immediately met with the creepiest document I'd ever seen. At the top, there was a collage of pictures. At first, I thought they were stock photos of office life, but then I quickly realized that they were all photos of the same woman. She was someone I recognized as a woman who worked in the same department as my brother. The first few photos looked like they were taken from her socials and were cropped to only show her. Things got creepier as I scrolled down, and the photos went from her posing for the camera to looking like she didn't realize a camera was there. She was doing everyday things, grabbing lunch, out for coffee, and grocery shopping. My stomach dropped when I saw a picture of her standing by a window of what I had to guess was her apartment. After the pictures, there was a series of text. The first paragraph listed out her daily routine. The next couple of paragraphs documented each and every interaction that she and Chris ever had while at work. Even things as minor as her saying hello as she walked by his desk were logged and dated. Chris added notes under each of these interactions, claiming how he knew she shared his feelings for her and that they would eventually be together. But things went from creepy to dark as I read on. Apparently, she started dating another coworker, also from their department. Chris's notes started with him convinced that she was doing this purely to make him jealous. But soon, he gets angrier and angrier until I'm reading death threats directed at both of them. More pictures pop up of who I assume to be the boyfriend because my brother has edited X's over the eyes. I feel like I'm going to be sick as I read a detailed plan on how my brother plans to get rid of the boyfriend and hide the evidence. But it doesn't stop there. My heart is pounding, and I can hardly believe my brother would do this. I read the last paragraph, and my blood goes cold. It's a plan to confront the woman while she's working late in the office alone. Chris goes into detail on how he would convince her to follow him out to his car, and then let him drive her to her favorite late-night pizza place. But on the way, he'd offer her favorite soda that he will add sleeping medication to beforehand. There aren't any details on what would happen after, only that he would regret being forceful if she said no to the soda. I looked at the plan's date. It was for that night. I immediately called the police. The officer on the phone sounded bored when I told him everything I read. He said he would send an officer to the house to look through my brother's computer, and they would go from there. But there was no telling how long that would take, and based on what I read, this woman didn't have a lot of time. I raced my way to my brother's office. I saw him in the parking lot, holding the passenger side door open, and the woman about to get in. Acting without thinking, I speed the car directly at her. The woman screamed and ran out of the way, opposite from my brother's car. My brother was screaming at me, but I just kept circling my car around him, keeping him trapped near his car. The woman was freaked out enough to get into her own car and call the police. It wasn't long before I was pushed into the back of a police car with cuffs tightened around my wrists. I looked on in horror as my brother started to walk back toward the woman, until I heard the radio from the cruiser call out, "Attention all officers!" It was a warrant for arrest for my brother. My heart stops. The officer they sent to the house must have read the document. I watched from the back seat as my brother tried to fight back, but was eventually thrown into the other cruiser. What will haunt me the most is the look my brother gave me as my handcuffs were taken off. If he hadn't been locked away that night, I think I would have been on the run for my life.